Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Maria. If this happens to be your first time visiting, welcome to Siempre en Penitos DIY. If you're following me on Spanglish Amigas, then perhaps you saw that I shared with you a dessert cart. Well, here is the video. So all of the items that I'm going to be using in this video, I am going to leave it in the description box down below. All of these pieces of foam that I have here, I purchased them from Hobby Lobby. And some of them did come from Michael's, but majority of them came from Hobby Lobby. All right, so here I have a styrofoam rod and I cut 4 pieces, all measuring 5 inches. Now these pieces right here, these are optional, and later in the video I will tell you why. And then here is a 6-inch long piece that I cut in half, and then cut a 45 angle. And then of course you're going to be needing some glue and some toothpicks. So first thing I'm going to do is cut my foam sheet, and I'm going to cover the bottom of my cart. This is optional, just so you won't see the styrofoam. So the reason I haven't taken the wrap off the styrofoam is because I am actually trying to see if this would work better than if I were to add a light MDF board on there or any type of cardboard. And that's because lately I've been noticing on some of my other projects that when I do not add a light MDF board, they tend to bend a little. So I'm trying to see if by leaving the plastic will help me do that, if just in case I choose not to add any type of boards to it and I just go with the plastic alone. So if you choose to do this, do cut off the ends, like where the plastic meets, because that will be sticking out on your clay, and then you will be able to notice it. I had left it on for a little bit, and when it started drying up, I did notice that little bump there, and I didn't like it, so I just had to trim that off. So again, I just want to give out a shout out to all of my new subscribers and everyone who's been following me. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. As well, if you're not following me over on Spanglish Amigas or on my Facebook page, I will list them in the description box down below, so you can go over there. I go live every Monday and Friday. Now back to the video. So now I'm going to be adding the rods, and I will be using the clay that I found at Hobby Lobby. At first I was a bit nervous, because I did not know how well it would look or if I would be able to use it. So I just, took a chance. And I'm also going to be using it in these foam balls. Now, because of the styrofoam, it's not the smooth foam. That's what had me a little bit worried. So, and it also said that and to let it dry for 48 hours, which was another thing. I for whatever reason, I thought like the outside and the inside. As you can see here, I'm struggling with it because it is a little bit hard. And I did compare it to the clay that I get from Bose. If you have used that clay, and here is the demonstration, where Bose clay, it's very easier to pull, even though it's firm, versus the one from Hobby Lobby was a little bit harder. But it did do a great job. I love it. Definitely going to be, picking it up whenever I see it. So here I have the 4 foam balls and the styrofoam, and I went ahead and wrapped in the clay. I did let them dry overnight just to see what they were referring to, about 48 hours, but it actually did completely dry. Normally you let clay sit and dry for a couple of days because you can also feel it by the weight. And they were very not completely light, but you can tell where it was dry from the inside. It still needed some little bit more work, but then again, that's pretty much what happens with all of our clay. So those 1-inch pieces that I said that is optional, this is why I said it's optional. This was where I was going to use them. Oh goodness, I'm having a hard time speaking. I was going to use them here, but I chose not to because I noticed that my dessert cart would have been a little bit taller for me, so I just chose not to use them. Again, you can use them if you like, but I just said no. I can also use them somewhere else, so I'm not really worried about cutting them down to 1 inch, but that's where I said it is optional. So again, I'm using toothpicks and glue. You can use crazy glue if you like. I chose to stick with the tacky glue, and the toothpicks is to hold them in place and for extra support. So this is the mold that I will be using. And I was a bit worried because for a minute there, it started looking like a bed to me, but I just kept saying, Maria, trust the process, just keep going, and hopefully it'll turn out like the way you want it to turn out. And of course, make sure you always add some type of spray or oil to your mold when you're using clay, because it does help it and it makes it a lot easier to pull it out. And I'm just using this little knife, going really slow, not knife, I'm sorry, this molding tool, and going really slow just to take off any extra clay in there, because so this way it won't look lumpy when I add it to my piece. So here is where I started freaking out, thinking that my cart was starting to look more like a bed because of this lace that I chose to use. But, you know, as more I was using it, also I started thinking of Queen Marie Antoinette, I'm sorry. And it started giving me that Victorian tea party style, so I just went with it. But again, when I finished it, I loved how it looked, so I again trust the process. All right, so here I have a silicone mold, and I believe this is a fleur de lis style that I wanted to use as well on my cart. And I'm actually going to be adding this to the handle of the cart. And I think I got this mold either from Amazon or Temu. I'm not quite sure, but I will check and I'll just list it in the description box down below as well. And again, just use oil or cooking spray. I like to use baby oil, and that will help it release your clay better if you use that than rather not. I have not tried water. I think I don't really remember if I have or not, but oil works for me. Anyway, so here is the handle to the cart, and I'm just going to place these on top of that. And I did try my best again not to use gold. Now that I have all of my pieces covered in clay, I am going to start putting my cart together. And then I am going to start working on the handle of the cart. Now, I chose just to use clay for that, and I had to roll it out pretty thick or leave it pretty thick, and then try to do like a U shape, and did had to let it dry for a bit before I add it because it's heavy. It would have just kept falling over and it would have not given me that shape that I wanted. So that is something that I had to wait, actually almost let it dry almost overnight just to make sure that it was completely dry before I added, because it is a heavy piece, so I also wanted my handle to have an additional little design on it, and here it is. uh, and that was about it, and right where the handle, as you can see, the handle looks a little bit smaller than the rest of it. So what I did is I grabbed more clay, and then I did like a donut shape, or a worm shape, and just wrapped it around. You can probably best to do a donut shape and then just place it there. So you won't see where the, if you were to do a worm shape and then wrap it over, you won't see that line where they connect. So I probably should have done that instead. But of course I didn't think about it until after. But by then it was too late because the clay was already dried in there and I didn't want to pull it and mess it up. So here all I'm doing again is just trying to make that U shape, and just let it dry a little bit longer, overnight actually. And then I went in, while it was drying, I put a other cute little design on there, and that was it. you know it did take up some time, to get this together, because I wanted to make sure that the clay that I was using would held, and I, of course, being nervous, never using it, usually takes a little bit longer than what. But if you were to do this, I would say you'll probably take you about a day and a half, and that's only because you want to make sure that the clay will dry completely before you put the handle on. But yeah, I loved it. Very easy, nerve-wracking, only because not knowing what the clay was going to do for me, but it worked. Definitely going to be using this clay again. And yeah, I mean, if you do make one, I would really love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to share my video out. It will help my channel grow. Leave me a comment. What do you think? What would you do different? What colors will you use? If you were to make one, what will you use it for? Will you also use it for your desserts, or will you use it to hold your decorations, or what have you? But yeah, would love to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for coming in here and watching my video, leaving me a comment. I love reading comments. And I appreciate every single one of you. Right there, do you see that where the clay meets? That's what I was talking about. Doing the donut shape. Sorry about that, I went off subject there for a minute. But yeah, so anyways, my friends, as you can see, not really much to it. I love how it came out. Would I use this lace again? Yes and no. I love it as well because it did remind me of when I was creating Queen Marie Antoinette. But yeah, I could have probably went with something else, but so here's the silicone mold that I used. This one I did get it from Joann's, and then because that mold is sturdier, you want to definitely use baby oil. All right, my friends, here is a closer look for you. And this also means that this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for coming in here, supporting my channel, and for always leaving me lovely comments. So until the next time, stay safe, be kind. Bye.